The coastal village of Greywick was a forgotten speck, nestled between jagged cliffs and a restless sea. Elias, a retired lighthouse keeper in his 60s, had lived there all his life, tending to the old beacon on the cliff's edge. The lighthouse had been automated decades ago, but Elias still climbed its spiral stairs each night, polishing the lens, checking the gears, and lighting a single lantern, a ritual born of habit, not necessity. The villagers called him eccentric, but they never spoke of the strange lights that flickered in the fog beyond the cliffs, not aloud. On this night, a storm brewed, the kind that churned the sea into a frothing beast. Elias trudged up the cliff path, his lantern swinging, casting weak light against the wind's howl. The air was thick with salt and something else, something metallic, like blood. He shrugged it off as the storm's trickery and entered the lighthouse, the door creaking shut behind him. Inside, the air was still, too still. The spiral staircase loomed, its iron steps glistening with dampness that shouldn't have been there. Elias climbed, his boots echoing, the lantern's glow barely reaching the walls. Halfway up, he stopped. A sound low, rhythmic, like a heartbeat pulsed through the stone. He gripped the railing, his knuckles whitening. "Just the storm," he muttered, but his voice sounded hollow. At the top, the lantern room was dark, the automated beacon silent. Odd, but not unheard of. Storms could trip the system. Elias set his lantern down and checked the wiring, finding nothing amiss. The heartbeat sound grew louder, vibrating through the floor. He turned, scanning the room, and froze. His lantern's flame had turned blue, flickering wildly, though no draft stirred the air. "Old man's nerves," he grumbled, but his hands shook as he relit the wick. The flame steadied, yellow again, but the heartbeat didn't stop. It was coming from below to pay below, where the lighthouse's foundation met the cliff. Elias peered out the window, expecting to see waves crashing against the rocks, but the sea was calm. Glassy mirror under the storm clouds. Impossible. Then he saw it, a light, faint and greenish, bobbing in the water far out. Not a ship, not a buoy, something else, pulsed in time with the heartbeat, growing brighter, closer. Elias's chest tightened. He'd seen lights before, will-o'-wisps the fishermen called them, but this was different. It moved with purpose, gliding toward the shore. He grabbed his lantern and descended the stairs, the heartbeat growing louder, faster. At the base, he hesitated, then opened the door to the cliff's edge. The storm had vanished, leaving an eerie silence. The green light was closer now, hovering just beyond the rocks, and with it came a voice not heard, but felt, like a needle in his mind. "Come see." Elias's legs moved before he could think, drawn to the cliff's edge. The light pulsed brighter, and now he saw shapes within it long, sinuous, coiling like eels in the air. The voice grew insistent. "Look." "No." His lantern slipped from his hand, shattering on the rocks. But the green light illuminated everything. The cliff, the sea, and something rising from the water. It wasn't a creature, not exactly. It was a mass of writhing tendrils, each tipped with a glowing orb that stared like an eye. The heartbeat was deafening now, shaking the cliff itself. Elias tried to scream, but his voice was gone, swallowed by the thing's presence. It reached for him, not with tendrils, but with a pull, like gravity dragging his thoughts into its own. He saw things, impossible things. Cities of coral and bone, sunken beneath the sea, their spires pulsing with the same green light. Faces human but not, their mouths open in silent screams. Tethered to the lighthouse, feeding on those who strayed too close. Elias staggered back, his mind fraying, but the cliff crumbled beneath him. Fell not into the sea, but into the light, into the thing. The village slept on, unaware, as the lighthouse beacon flickered to life, its automated hum drowning out the heartbeat. The next morning, the villagers found the lighthouse empty. Elias's lantern shattered on the rocks. They called it a tragic accident, a fall in the storm. But that night, a new lantern burned in the lighthouse, its flame green and pulsing. And in Greywick, the first villager woke screaming, their dreams filled with a voice that whispered, "Come, see."